Hey, everybody. All right. Quick update from your Politics at Work team. We are about, it's about 3 o'clock on Wednesday. As we speculated, this was going to be a mess, and it has turned into an absolute mess. Pennsylvania, a key state, is saying that they're not going to be complete until Friday because apparently the actual, like, if you had a mail-in ballot, it only had to be postmarked by yesterday. If it takes up until Friday to get into the state, it's still counted. So it only has to be postmarked as of yesterday. It's a big deal about what happens if the postmark is smudged, whatever the case may be. But so Pennsylvania is not going to be finalized until Friday. Right now, Trump has we'll round up 0.1%. He's got a 6% lead right now with 85% reporting in Pennsylvania. So, but again, they're not going to be finalized until Friday. North Carolina right now, he has an even slimmer margin, but 94% reporting. He's sitting at 50.1% versus Biden's 48.7%. And then Georgia's been called on a lot of news sources, but has not been called on Google. Google has not called Georgia for President Trump, even though majority of news sources I've looked at have called Georgia for President Trump. Wisconsin. Yeah. Wisconsin's a big deal. Wisconsin has been called for Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought the attorney general up because, Trump's doing his thing where he said, I'm going to demand a recount. So here's how this works. If it's below 0.25%, it's automatic recount. The state pays for it. If it's below, they won't do it if it's above 1%. If it's 1% or below, then the campaign has to pay for it. Trump has to pay for it out of pocket if he wants a recount. He has to pay all those workers the overtime and whatever the case may be to recount. But right now they're saying it's below 1%, but above 0.25%. So if Trump does want to recount in Wisconsin, he'll have to pay for it. Or his campaign will have to pay for it. Which means the American people will pay for it.
Of course. Yeah, we'll see where Wisconsin ends. Wisconsin is decent when it comes to elections because they have public access to the election, so it can be quite accurate. I don't think Trump will get much from Wisconsin.
Last time they did a recount there, it shifted Stein. What was his name? Stein, last name Stein?
Yeah, Jill Stein. She asked
for paid for a recount in Wisconsin, and it ended up shifting 151 votes to Trump. That's it. 151.
Marginal,
so not enough to make a difference. So I don't know.
No, my prediction. So number one, the map looks damn close to what I sent you yesterday.
Are you looking at the Google coverage map?
Yeah.
It
looks really close to what I sent you, with maybe 2 or 3 states that are different, and it's really close to what you and I predicted, that Biden was going to win by a tiny margin, and that it was going to take weeks to find out. So now my predictions now, I think Georgia will be called for Trump. I think he's got that. Michigan, it's at 99%. It will likely end for Biden. Nevada is going to have to be the deciding one. They are 8,000 votes away. Trump is going to win North Carolina and Pennsylvania. I don't think Biden
do you think Trump will win Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I don't think Biden can make up 400,000 votes to win.
But you got to imagine they're 85% reporting. They're not going to close until Friday.
Yeah,
they're not going to report till Friday with who's won Pennsylvania.
There's a chance.
So you're saying Trump's going to win Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia, and you're saying Biden's going to win Michigan.
Yeah, because so how many more votes are we going to get? So if they're at 85% and we are around 5.8 million votes there, we're not going to get the 400. Biden would have to get 400,000 votes on his side. I don't know what we're going to get.
I don't think there's that many absentees.
Yeah, I don't think that we're going to get that many on his side. Like it will probably get that many, maybe a little bit more, but it will be split Trump Biden.
So right now, your prediction is Trump's going to take Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Biden will take Wisconsin and Michigan, and it's going to come down to Nevada.
It's going to come down to Nevada. And that's my prediction. I think that's the most likely scenario. And then Nevada could stay blue, and then Biden wins. If it goes to Trump, then Trump wins, and that's over. So, and then the other one is the Pennsylvania that it flips blue.
It's so crazy. If you click on the map of Michigan, right, and you look at it, you look at Flint. Flint is blue. That's so weird to me because
No,
the
no, no. It
Democrats
was
completely
red up until now. It was red
was it.
all night long,
I just zoomed
all
in.
morning.
Flint showing blue.
Flint was red up until maybe an
Oh
hour
my
or two ago. I've been
gosh.
keeping an eye on that because it became big news. Like, wow, Flint, Michigan, it's red, and it was red all night and all morning.
But why
And
would here that was one normally blue area that I would assume would flip red after the Democrats completely just bailed on helping them out when it came to the water crisis. I was thinking that's the one place that may have a chance. And Detroit too. How is Detroit not red? The Democrats have absolutely failed them completely, but they remain blue. It surprises me to no end how many times the Democratic Party can fail a city and the city will still vote them in and still vote them in and still vote them in and still vote them in.
it's the fear that has been fed, this is for both Democrat and Republican voters, right? All the fear that they've been fed is what keeps people voting this way. But there's some interesting situations to discuss. Number one, of course, the Democrat strategy to get Republican votes. They partner with so many Republicans, ex-presidents, governors, you name it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get Republican votes." They partnered with the Lincoln Project, and they were bashing Trump. Guess how many Republican votes they actually got?
How many?
More Republicans ended up voting for Trump in 2020 than they did in 2016. So it did not work.
So they were saying Bloomberg spent like $100 million or something like that in
Oh
Texas
God, yes,
and
he
two
spent.
other states to try to turn it blue. But let me tell you something. I'll say this, okay? Texas has been a guaranteed red state for as long as I've been alive. Like the Republicans have just checked Texas off every single election. We got Texas, no problem. This is the first year where it's been less than a 10% margin in Texas. It's 46.3% blue, and Trump won by 52.3. Some people wouldn't call that close for Texas. That's really close. That's the closest it's been
Yeah,
my entire life.
and Bernie would have destroyed Trump in Texas. All the Latinos, which Trump did better with Latinos in 2020 than he did in 2016, they were for Bernie, right? We saw it in Nevada. We saw strong Latino support in Texas. Really, pretty much the entire primary, Bernie was killing it with Latinos, and Biden did not have that with Latinos, and it showed in yesterday's election. Biden did horrible with Latinos. Latinos gave Trump the win in Florida.
Was it the fact that he came out and was blaring that song? It was
Despacito. That's
did
it, man.
that did that do it? Did
Yeah,
that do
but
it? And I was gonna ask you, as a person of Hispanic heritage, I mean, how do you feel about Trump pulling the numbers that he has from Latino voters? I mean, you must have family members who live here in the United States. I mean, what are you guys all aligned with this, or do you have any Latino family members that have turned to Trump and are now Trump supporters? I mean, what do you have?
I actually don't have any family here. But I see why some turned to Trump. Trump actually did better with all minorities,
Oh, he did.
way
Yeah,
better
yeah,
than
yeah.
2016. The only one was white males, not a minority, but he did wars with white males. But with everybody else, black women, black men, Hispanic, you name it, Trump did better with all of them in 2020.
White.
With
He said Trump lost suburban white women and college educated white men.
yeah,
Those are the two places where he lost. The weirdest thing to me are suburban white women in the upper middle class who are Democrats, who are not only Democrats, but they're social justice warriors who somehow believe that it's their responsibility to guide the misled minority group to where they need to be. Like it's their job to be their shepherd because they've been guilted into it, right? They've been called racist so many times that they're like, oh, no, I have to support Black Lives Matter no matter what they do. I have to do this after that. It's the weirdest phenomenon in the entire. But Trump did not do well with them. Trump did not do well with white educated men because the college education system pushes out liberals as fast as they can. It's just like it's like a factory. It's like a factory where they make them. And he did a lot better with Latinos. He did a lot better with blacks. He did a lot better. I mean, he did a lot better where they said he wouldn't, and he didn't do good where he thought he would. He thought he had all the white people locked up, and he didn't. So
Yeah,
I was surprised to see Utah go red.
yeah. I was going to tell you on the Hispanic piece, it's probably because they saw that Trump deported a lot less people than Biden and Obama did. So if you have family in the U.S. and you care about that, you can think, okay, so in the last 4 years, this time my family was not deported. A lot less people that I know got deported. And when Biden was vice president, oh my God, they were deporting people left and right, and there were raids all over the country. Maybe I can survive 4 years of Trump. And same thing with black people. I can't speak for them, but it's been clear since Martin Luther King Jr. People embrace his saying of centrist white males are a biggest threat to you than the KKK and racists, because centrists will delay progress for you. And we know that it's true, right? When Biden wrote the crime bill, he delayed progress for black people. So that's what I'm thinking. The second largest Hispanic district in the U.S. had always been Democrat, even with Hillary Clinton. She won by 34 points. Biden lost that district by 5%. Second largest Hispanic district in the U.S. That should tell you something.
It should. It should. The congressional races, some have been gained on both sides. I want to mention there was an independent that gained a house. They gained a seat in the Senate.
The Senate seems to be still a toss, but I don't think it's going to be likely for Democrats. Democrats will keep the House, but it was nowhere near a blue wave. They lost seats.
Bernard Sanders. He's down as an independent.
Yeah, he's an independent. He obviously acts as an establishment Democrat all this year. Yeah, I consider this election a total disaster for Democrats. Of course, they're not going to consider that. They're going to say it was great and that Biden got the most votes in history, probably because we have the highest population in history. Trump also got more votes than any other Republican in history, probably. So,
yeah. I mean, the thing is, the Democrats were hoping for a complete power grab. Yeah. I mean, they were hoping for the Senate. They were hoping to keep the House. They were hoping for the presidency. They were hoping for all the minority votes. And let me tell you something. If you're a Democrat who's been virtue signaling and grandstanding for the last 20 or 30 years in Washington, what has to scare you the most is the number of minority votes that Trump got. That has to scare the living crap out of you. Not that you actually care about minorities, because you've proven that time and time again with the legislation that you backed. But yeah, it has to scare you that minorities are no longer buying into your BS. But at the same time, a lot of the major metropolitan city areas where you have the majorities, like Flint, Michigan, to pick one, where you have these minorities who've been absolutely shafted by the Democratic Party and Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, all this other stuff who's completely failed them, vote consistently Democrat. And at the end of the day, I don't know why that is, and maybe it's just a lack of personal education on the part of the voter, or it's just I have no idea. I have no idea, but this has to scare the Democratic Party to see how many minorities they've lost.
They ran on a horrible strategy, run a centrist, run and try to get Republican votes. They were saying, oh no, if Bernie's the nominee, they're going to call us socialists. They're going to call us communists. They call fucking Joe Biden communist, socialist. If Bernie wins the nomination, we're not going to win the House, or we're going to lose seats in the House. They ran Biden, they lost seats in the House. Like, everything that they ran on was a total disaster. They did not run to win. They ran to protect their corporate interests. And I'm personally never, ever going to support a Democratic candidate. I don't care if it's Bernie Sanders again. I will not be on board with that party. Of course, same with Republican because they operate pretty much the same way. So I hope people do the same and realize that no matter who wins, when we find out here in the next couple of weeks, we'll still have all of the same problems because neither one of them have solutions. One of them just doesn't tweet as much.
So, if Joe Biden wins, I mean,
If Joe Biden wins, you know who's going to run 2024 against him?
Who?
Trump Jr.
No way.
Picture
No
that.
way. No way.
You know, Joe Biden wins, there will be riots and all those things, but then Joe Biden gets to become president. So then he's going to run.
Do you really think there's going to be riots if Joe Biden wins?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I don't think there's going to be riots if Joe Biden wins. And another reason why I think that when they were showing all the footage of all the store, all the people in major metropolitan downtown areas boarding up their stores, they were putting on their "We support Black Lives Matter." That's who they were scared of. They were not putting MAGA on there. They were not putting "Make America Great Again." We support Trump. They were putting Black Lives Matter on there. And the reason that they were doing that is because they knew those were the people who were going to be down there destroying stuff if they didn't get what they wanted.
Trump won, yeah.
That's who they were worried about.
Wins, there will be protests. I don't know if there will be the looting. I mean, it's so hard to tell there. And when I mean if Biden wins, there will be riot. It's not going to be breaking into stores and looting and all that stuff either.
That would happen if Trump wins, though. That's a definite fear.
I don't know. I don't know on that one.
There were people preemptively down there starting crap before, even though there hadn't even been a decision yet.
Yeah, but that's people just being put into advantage of the situation.
People are what? I guess you got to get down there and get your Gucci purse, right?
That's right.
I mean, if everybody's going to be down there by doing their thing, but it was so interesting because they did some interviews with some business owners and they were stuff like that, and they were talking to them and they were like, "Oh, I know you put Black Lives Matter on your storefront," and they're like, "Do you support Black Lives Matter?" And they're like, huh? They're like, "Who are you voting for?" Voted for Trump. Well, why did you put Black Lives Matter on there? It's like, God damn. I don't want them to break my stuff.
Yeah.
If you fear a group of people like that, that's a problem. That's a problem, Paco. That's a problem. That's a problem.
Well, you know how I feel about it, man.
What?
You know
that their actions are justified?
I don't think it's justified with the election because that's not going to accomplish anything. That's not going to accomplish anything. But yeah, man, that's all I have. Down to Nevada. We'll keep monitoring that. I don't see Trump getting Michigan. I don't see Biden getting Georgia or North Carolina.
No.
So, I mean, it may be Pennsylvania or Nevada, but Pennsylvania is more likely going to be Trump.
We'll wait and see. It'll be till Friday till we know for sure, unless Biden upsets Georgia, North Carolina. Unless he upsets one of those two.
Yeah, but I think
it'll be until
close.
Friday before we know what happens. Huh?
Yeah, they're. It's hard. I mean, there's a chance.
If
think Georgia.
If Biden upsets Pennsylvania, it's over.
Yes.
If Biden upsets Pennsylvania, it's over.
Yes.
If Biden, yeah.
So we'll see when we find out about Nevada. They got 75% reporting.
It's 0.6%.
8,000 votes.
8,000, less than 8,000 votes. Mm-hmm. What counties are still? What counties are they still counting?
I don't think this map lets me see that.
No, it shows me which ones they voted. So Reno County is blue,
mm-hmm.
and then Las Vegas County is blue, and then the rest of the state is red.
It's kind of like in every state. You the major cities are blue.
No, except for California.
No, you got a lot of red outside of the the major cities. Oregon, really cool. They decriminalized all drugs. Do you know I'm a proponent of that? And
Who did?
Oregon.
So you can go there and do heroin if you want to.
You can do whatever you want. I mean, you'll get a ticket, but you're not going to go to jail and all those things for possession. So it's a good step in ending the war on drugs and mass incarceration. Hopefully more states will follow. Usually when one state starts, more states follow that suit.
I don't know. Phoenix is pretty blue.
Yeah.
I mean, Arizona's pretty blue.
Arizona's pretty blue.
New Mexico.
New Mexico.
Colorado's less blue than I thought.
Yeah, Colorado was an interesting state.
In Illinois, I never understood Illinois. Because if you look at Illinois is almost exclusively red except for Chicago, and Chicago seems to be enough to swing the entire state.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there are a lot of people out there in the Midwest who.
No, I don't either. Even though Springfield is Springfield the capital, or is Peoria the capital? I think Springfield's the capital.
Peoria, Illinois.
I don't know, man. It's been too long since I've been in school.
But yeah, man, we'll see. We'll give everybody an update as soon as we find out. Good stuff.
Thanks for listening.
It's been a good run.
Has it?
No. We've been good at predicting what was going to happen, though.
Yeah.
We predicted that Joe Biden ran such a horrible campaign, he was going to struggle.
When he could have taken it.
He should have won by a landslide. Imagine, Jonathan, if coronavirus did not happen this year, who would have won by a landslide?
Well, it depends. If Joe Biden was the candidate, I think it would still be close.
You think? I think if coronavirus would have not happened, Trump would have won by a landslide.
I think Trump would have come out on top, but I think it would still. I think it would have
lost a lot of votes
to
how he did or how he has done with COVID.
I mean, there's a second wave hidden. Well, you can call it a second wave. There's more hospitalizations. There's more people having it. It happens. If you watch the flu, if you watch anything, it's going to get worse in November. It's going to get worse in December, and then January and February it'll taper off. So if Joe Biden becomes president, he'll immediately put a mask mandate in place, nationwide mask mandate. The states will either agree to it or he'll pressure them into it. I don't know if there is a state that doesn't have one already. A mask mandate. November will roll around, December will roll around, January will hit, and the numbers will start falling for coronavirus because that's just how it works. February will hit, it'll drop even more, and people will say Joe Biden is the savior of the United States, and because
Joe Biden doesn't become president until January, right?
Well, that really depends.
What do you mean?
This could be pushed back
until January.
This could be pushed back for litigation for a long time.
It can be pushed out longer.
Depending on how bad this gets. I don't know how deep this is going to go. I don't know how far Trump is willing to push this. I don't know if he's willing to send it to the Supreme Court. I don't actually know how far he can take this. I know that he can pay for a recount in Wisconsin, which would delay it a couple days, whatever. I don't know how far he can push this. I don't know how close it has to be in order for him to be able to get away with pushing it to the Supreme Court and making the Supreme Court get involved. But the Supreme Court shouldn't be involved in this situation. So this is not the Supreme Court's job. The Supreme Court's job is, do you have a right to this? Yes. Does this infringe upon your right for this? Yes or no? That's what the Supreme Court does. Supreme Courts make sure that your constitutional rights are not treaded on. Period. That's what the Supreme Court. The problem is, Supreme Court has become a legislative arm of whichever president's in office that they use to swing around and they use to get things passed. Well, that's not what the Supreme Court's for. So I know they talked to the Chief Justice for a while, and he was they were asking questions, about what his involvement was going to be in the election, and he didn't really say much. It's not his job. The Supreme Court has nothing to do with the election. They're not elected officials, by the way. They're appointed. They're confirmed, but they're not elected. So this whole situation is, it's nothing to do with the Supreme Court. But yeah, just to recap, Trump should take Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, and if Joe Biden takes Michigan, it will come down to Nevada.
That's right. I think that's where we are right now. That's the most likely scenario, which puts Biden ahead.
Of course, you, Paco, you have your plan to come in and wiggle your way into power. Get a cabinet position.
One day.
Secretary of Tacos.
I'll be good at that. Be good at that. Ensure that we get the vote. Here's my only policy: tacos every night. And they're real.
Sold.
Not
Sold.
Taco Bueno, real shit.
Done. Sold.
Yeah.
So yeah, record turnout from minority voters voting Republican this time. The normal Republican voters that Trump used to have, he lost this time around. So the suburban housewives, white, college-educated.
Sort of,
men.
because he still had more Republican people voting for him.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying that he lost. The number voting for him dwindled. Yeah. And we knew this was going to be a close race. It's going to come down to a state.
Yep.
So we'll keep you guys updated as we know more.
Months.
Let's hope. I hope not. I hope not either way that it goes. I hope it's not.
I hope it's easy.
Not drug on this.
I hope it's easy.
But talk to you guys later.